I moved from Italy to New York City and was sort of at this crisis point because I had been doing a work that I loved so much. Everything was changing. Gonna be a mother, gonna be a wife, living in this new crazy city. And I found this book that was written by my great-grandfather. His name was Vladimir Ulehla. He was a biologist, actually, and he grew up in this town called Strazhnice. And the book's called Živa píseň, which means living song. He really believed that songs were living organisms that were related to their ecological conditions and somehow carried through time by families and generations. Dalva is an experiment on how traditional song from South Moravia, from Strazhnice, how it grows when you plant it here in North America, in New York or in Vancouver. What kind of life does it take on?
What if you found a book like this with all these melodies and you had no idea what the music actually sounded like? What would happen with it? How would the music develop? Julie and I both knew that there's traditional Moravian music, and she certainly understood it, but I had never heard it. And I made a conscious decision to not listen to it, not out of disrespect, but to me, the idea of creating something totally new to see what happens is more interesting than trying to emulate a tradition that's already happening.
The first Dalva record we made in New York with some New York musicians from the downtown avant-garde, continuing the experiment here in Vancouver with this community of improvising musicians who are all jazz musicians. Our approach was to take each song almost like a microcosm in and of itself. The songs, many of them are about love, many of them are sad, many of them include somehow relationships between people and animals and the land.
For example, a song like Hore Hucha, when the mountains are moaning and the heavens are storming, it's like, how do you really make that happen sonically? I'm gonna make some noise, and that's what we do with it. It's not pleasant sounding. It's not supposed to be. Likewise, with Studena Rozenka, oh, love, it's okay, I've already taken care of your horses, you don't have to get up. There's so much tenderness, and those lyrics, I have to reflect that in my playing, and it sounds like horses galloping.
What we do at its heart is deeply about improvisation. So even though the melodies are fixed, in live performance, I don't know what's going to happen. Following what is this life and the possibilities for sound and for expression.
Oh, the drum just started doing this thing. Let's see what happens if we follow that. We would rather artistically be playing and fall and have it be a complete mess and at least know that we were going for something new.
We've performed this material in the Czech Republic, and it's met with strong reaction. People either love it, or we did one show and a woman said to a friend of mine, if her great-grandfather heard this, he would kill her, so angry about it.
Something happens when we perform. It's a very tangible thing that people leave different.
I guess that's something that when I began this project in New York City, I never in my wildest dreams imagined that it would become as deep as it has, even to the point where I feel somehow some connection has been made to the unseen world, where ancestors of mine are there, or I can somehow address them through this material. And I never imagined that that was a possibility in life, ever. For someone, depending if they're there and that's where they live, or they emigrated and now they're here and quasi-American and quasi-Czech, or they're first generation like me and somehow trying to be what is this cultural inheritance I have that I can only pull the strands of from this place really far away? Can you find a relationship to the living quality of songs when you don't have an oral transmission, when you don't have physical proximity? Just thinking of the world that we live in now, where mass migration is happening on an enormous scale. What kind of relationship do you have from where you come?